Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Life, L.Y.F, stands for Love Yourself First. I'm your host, Cola Taylor, and I'm here with Bekah Pham Yoxthimer. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did. Great job.
Yes. Okay. She is a dentist, philanthropist, beauty queen, and she also does charitable work with her foundations. Um, but she has the most interesting background story uh, for her family coming into the US. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much, Bekah, for being here with me today. I appreciate it.
Of course, I would do anything for you. I love you, and I'm just glad that we met.
Yes, yes, I'm definitely glad we met also. So we met cruising down the wrong Grand Canyon.
Yes, that was 9 years ago. I was thinking about that.
I know. And it's amazing the people that you meet, along the way,
Yeah,
just doing random adventures. I was wandering the desert by myself, and Bekah and her husband decided to help me out and befriend me. I appreciate that.
yeah.
But you never really know, like I said, who you're coming in contact with, because I really, of course, didn't know anything about your backstory, which is absolutely amazing. So let's talk about that. So from what I understand, it was 1975, correct? When your
Correct.
family came to the country.
Right.
Please tell us how this happened.
Okay. So during the Vietnam War, the Northern were invading and they were gaining a lot of ground. And my dad had heard of rumors of pilots stealing planes, and he was a pilot in the South Vietnamese Air Force. And he knew that if he wasn't the first to commandeer a plane, there would never be a second opportunity. And it's very hard to obviously commandeer a military plane. It's heavily guarded. You have to have an entire crew with you. But my dad, he was a man of faith, and he knew that with God, all things were possible and that God could work a miracle. And so he devised a plan. And days later, he commandeered a plane, and 53 family members were on that plane. And he flew them to international waters when they were finally free to Singapore. And months later, from Singapore, they were sent to America. And I often talk about when they reached America, they had nothing but the clothes on their backs. And they brought what they could bring, which was my brother, who was 6 months old, and my sister, who was 2 years old, and no money, no food, no home. But they're able to create this American dream. There's strangers that help drive my dad to working interviews so that he can get a job. And so that is my story of how my family came to America and how we lived the American dream because of that. And now my life work is to also empower other people to live out their own American dream.
So that's basically your driver in everything that you do. So
Yes.
you do a lot of charitable work. What kind of work do you do?
I have my own organization called Strong Women Helping Others. And it's something that I formed where moms can bring their kids along so that their kids can volunteer and have a love of volunteering at a young age. We go to different organizations. Like tomorrow, we're going to Hands Against Hunger, and we're going to package food to go to children either here in the United States or around the world. So the women in my group, we learned facts like 30,000 kids die a day from starvation. Wow. And instead of just hearing stuff, we want to be a part of that solution. We want to dig in. We want to do the dirty work. We want to, get the food. We want to get it packaged and sent over. We also do things like we go to homeless shelters. There's a homeless shelter called Hope House, and it's only for women and children. It's one of the only shelters that accepts children. And what we do is we make meals, and we also serve them to the residents there. My children love to serve the residents there. They make their own dinners that they bring there. And I think that it's important for us to give back to those who maybe just need a hand up in life because of maybe they were abused, or maybe there was domestic violence, or just something that helped them or made them become homeless. So I think that it's important for us, if we're given so much, and if we have time, to just be able to help those in need. I feel like people, when my family came over to America, poured into my family, wanted to see them succeed, and now I'm able to pay that forward.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and we definitely appreciate everything that you do on that aspect. So, your family came over here on well, your father commandeered a C-130 plane, which had to be extremely difficult, extremely uncomfortable. Because I don't know if anybody's ever been on a military C-130 plane, there's no frills on there. This isn't Delta or United Emirates, So I know that definitely had to be difficult. Recently, didn't you and your family go and see the C-130 that he commandeered?
Yes, that is correct. The C-130 military aircraft that my dad commandeered is actually an American plane, and it is now at the National War Plane Museum in Geneseo, New York. And
Wow.
that was the first time I had ever seen the plane. No, it's the second time I saw the plane when I was 10 years old. It was the first time that my children have ever seen the plane, and they got to sit in the cockpit with my dad, which was really special. I got to sit in the cockpit with my dad. And, every time he comes and he sees that plane, he's just overwhelmed with just gratefulness and just to be like, wow, I believe he was either 27 or 29 years old when he commandeered the plane. And times like that, you have to do what you have to do to save your family.
Right. I mean, the amount of bravery that had to take, that is just amazing. I mean, I was in the military and I did serve. I don't know if I could have stolen a plane, So I mean, even to save myself or to save my family, like that takes a lot of gumption to do.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts. And they rationed gas at the time because they didn't want anybody taking the planes. But the guy who went to pump the gas accidentally went on a smoke break and overfilled the tank. And it is an act of God. Everything along the way that happened to allow this to happen, was it a miracle, an act of God to allow us to come to the United States?
Wow, that's amazing. So all 56 people, you said it was 56, correct?
I think 53, something like that. Yeah,
So all 53 of those people were able to come to the US?
correct.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, so you're all 53 of those people, did they settle in Ohio?
So actually, my family we were in California first. And then there was a church in Ohio, in Centerville, Ohio, that sponsored Vietnamese refugees at the time. And that's where my parents ended up. Most of my relatives all live in California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you go often?
Yes. So it's really neat because I say that, people help my dad get job interviews. He eventually got to work for US Airways and was an airline pilot for US Airways. So, with that being said, we got to fly free as a perk of him being an airline pilot. So, we got to go to California during the summers. We would spend 3 months at a time to see my grandparents. And I just really appreciated that because they lived so far away. But every summer, we got to spend every day with them.
Have you and your family ever gone back to Vietnam?
We went back to Vietnam, or actually, the first time I went back to Vietnam was 13 years ago when I was pregnant with my first son. I went with my husband and my mom and dad, and it's such a beautiful country. And I got to see where my dad lived, the French school that my mom went to school at, the house that he actually knocked on the door and asked the owners if he could go inside that house because he used to live there, and they let him in. And
Oh.
it was just neat to see where my dad, he's like, this is where I would swim and I would spear fish and I would catch fish. And, just to be able to see where my parents lived and my heritage, because I was born in America, just to see the beauty of the country, the beaches and the different landscapes. It was an amazing trip.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I would love to go to Vietnam one day. So what inspired you to be a dentist?
So when I was little, my mom would always put me in a headlock, and she would scrub my teeth 2 to 3 times a day. And she'd say, Bekah, you cannot get cavities because we can't afford to see the dentist.
Mm.
And when I was in the 6th grade, I was 11 years old. I remember everybody in class had braces. And I was like, I want to fit in. I want to have a brace face. So I begged my mom to take me to the dentist, and she did. And when I got there, the dentist looked at my teeth and he's like, you don't need braces. Your teeth are fine. And I remember sitting there, and God put in my heart this aha moment of, I want to be a dentist. I want to help other people who maybe can't afford dentistry to just be able to have happy smiles. And I never turned back. At age 11, I went through school, and that's what I wanted to be. And I loved practicing dentistry.
Wow, that's amazing. My cousin is actually going through dentistry right now. What kind of curriculum is that? Is that very rigorous?
So it's 4 years of undergrad. You have to have a bachelor's degree. And then it's 4 years of dental school. 2 is book study, and then 2 is where you're in the clinics working on actual patients. And it is hard work. I remember there were times where I felt like I couldn't do it. I wanted to give up. But with anything, it takes a lot of hard work. You got to study, you got to pour, you got to put the time into it and be dedicated. And I just felt like God gave me all the strength to just continue to push on and just to be able to graduate. And my friend and I, we were one of the few people who went in without a bachelor's degree. So we got in a year early into dental school, and we did everything we could to just to try to get in. And we were fortunate to be able to get in early. So instead of 8 years of dental school, we went a total of 7 years of undergrad in dental school.
Oh, and you did a lot of missionary work also with dentistry. Where
Yeah.
did you go?
So we went to Honduras to do dental work. And it was, you think you go over there to change people's lives, but the people over there really change your life. You see them, some of them don't have shoes, they have flip-flops. Their house is like a shack with a tin roof and a dirt floor, and they're happy. They're happy. And a lot of them had never even seen the dentist. We saw kids as young as 3, all the way up to 60, 70 years old. And what we would go to their villages, and we would have basically a folding chair, a flashlight, some numbing agent, and a pair of forceps, and we would extract their teeth. So we couldn't take any x-rays or anything like that. And we were able to do the dental work, and people were very appreciative, and we were able to get them out of pain.
Mm.
But the neatest thing was, there was a girl named Nitsa who was in high school in Honduras, and she told me that she wanted to be a dentist. So she shadowed me, and I would teach her, this is how you numb. And in those countries, there's not really rules or regulations. So I taught her how to numb her first patient. So she numbed the patient up. And by the end of my trip, she saw me do extractions, and, I showing her different techniques of how to take a tooth out. I said, do you want to take a tooth out? And she was like, yeah. So she extracted the tooth. It came out. She was so excited. And I'm happy to say that she graduated from dental school and has been practicing dentistry for several years. And it's like being able to empower somebody who had, I think I want to go into dentistry. Can I shadow you? Giving her that opportunity. And now she is providing dentistry in Honduras to her own people. And I think that that's what it's all about, is you can go over there and help people out, but you can also empower them to be able to help their own people.
That's amazing to know that you've been able to help somebody else in something that they wanted to do, and you provided that eureka moment for that person.
Mhm.
Because it takes a while for some people to realize exactly what they want to do, but you and she realized that early, and were able to manifest that into reality. That's beautiful.
And then my husband and I also, when he was a student, so he went to dental school 6 years after I did, but I was his instructor on the trip, and he was a student. So it was neat to go on a missions trip together
Mm.
and do dental work.
And you both have your own practices, correct?
That is correct. A lot of people think that we went to dental school together, but we did not. When I was in dental school, we were dating. And after I started working at my practice, he saw how much I just loved doing dentistry, interacting with people, being able to help people fix their teeth. He said he wanted to be a dentist. and the closest dental school was 100 miles away.
Hmm.
So I loved my job where I was at. I kept my job. I commuted 200 miles a day for 4 years. I paid off his entire schooling. So he has no debt. And we laughed because we really had a budget. I would give him $20 a week for lunch.
Uh,
And one time he came home and he had this shirt. He goes, "Look, I got this shirt that says Ohio State Dental School," and it was $10. And I said, $10 left for lunch. And it was kind of funny. I mean, he had a credit card, but we had to really like watch what we were spending because we had
every
a goal.
penny. Right.
We wanted to not both be in debt with schooling, and so we were able to do that. And I've been at the current practice that I'm at for the last 20 years. It's a faith-based dental practice, and I love it. And then he has his own practice that he works at, and it just works out.
That's beautiful. I mean, you should support each other as husband and wife. And, if this is something that he wanted to do and you fully supported him, that's a great thing. A lot of people need to
Yeah.
have that in their lives, and you were afforded the ability to do that,
Yes,
so
definitely.
that's great. So one of my favorite movies is Miss Congeniality. And for this, I decided that I was gonna get my own little
I love it.
tiara in honor of you.
Thank you. I love it. Mm.
Thank you. I can't keep it on with the headphones, but but what got you into pageantry?
So 2 years ago, my dental assistant came up to me and she's like, "I think you should be in a pageant." And my reaction was like, "Say what?" I
Hmm.
said, "Aren't those for girls that are 26 and under? Because I'm 42." And she was like, "No, it doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter." And she was like, "I just think that you do so much for the community with volunteering. And I think that you're beautiful on the inside and outside, that you would do really well." And I said, "No, no, no. Pageantry is not for me. I'm so busy. I've got 3 kids." She left the office. I got on the computer, looked up the Mrs. Ohio pageant. I was the right age. I was married and I didn't have to have a talent. So I decided to sign up for my first pageant 2 years ago. But the sad part is 1 month before I competed, she died in a car accident.
Oh,
So if God wills me to win a pageant, that crown will be for her. And for other reasons too, it would also be for my parents, because it would be the cherry on top of living the American dream. If I win Mrs. Ohio, I go on to Mrs. America. And that's just something that, somebody that I work with saw in me, a potential that I could go to Mrs. America. And I honor her for that. So I am competing again in the Mrs. Ohio, which is in June.
oh well, I'm rooting for you from all the
Thank
way over
you.
here.
Thank you.
Definitely. So you don't have to do a talent, but if you did have to do a talent, what do you think your talent would be? Extracting teeth on stage?
Oh, it would just be like, yeah, like drilling a crown, like as fast as I could and be like, ta-da. Yeah,
Right.
that would be the talent.
In a
Um,
ball gown, of course.
maybe like a, right. Or maybe like a one-handed push-up or some sort of fitness routine.
Yes, and you're extremely into fitness. I do know that. You've done all these triathlons and
Yes.
everything else. I don't like, honestly, whatever supplements you're taking, you're gonna have to email me and give them to me because I have no energy. So how you have all this energy with 3 kids, a husband, dentistry practice, I have no idea how you do it.
Oh, thank you. I just feel like I'm just a doer, and I'm just one of those people that don't sit there and say, one day I want to do this or one day I'm going to do that. I go out and I do it. Or if somebody says, "Hey, let's do lunch," sometimes I don't let that like linger on. We set a date and we go
Right.
out to lunch. I just think that life is too short, and God's allowed us so much time. And that if you want to do something, you need to go after it and you need to do it.
Yes, yes. Well, I half of us don't have that kind of motivation. But it's always great to see when somebody does. So what levels do you have to go through for the pageantry? Because I think you're Mrs. Loveland is
I'm Mrs. Cincinnati.
Mrs. Cincinnati. Okay.
Yes.
So what are the levels?
So once you're Mrs. Cincinnati, you compete against people in the state of Ohio to win Mrs. Ohio. And once you win Mrs. Ohio, you'll go to Mrs. America, where you compete against all the different states. If you win Mrs. America, then you go on to win to compete in Mrs. World.
Okay.
Mrs. World America. And the America system is one of the most prestigious systems for the married women.
Okay. What do you have to do to prep for these pageants?
So there is a lot of prep work that goes into it. Um, the majority of it is you want to know who you are and what you stand for. You get interviewed by judges, and you only have 3 to 4 minutes to show them who you are. So you want to put your best foot forward, and you want to tell them why you're worthy of being Mrs. Ohio or Mrs. America. Then the other thing too is, I didn't really know what pageantry was all about, but once I was in it, I really loved it because it's about women in leadership, women who serve their community. And I feel like that is me, is because I love serving the community. And when you win, it just gives you more credibility of, now you're Mrs. Ohio and you serve, or now you're Mrs. America and you serve. And I think that it's good to just see that women who lead and who take action into helping other people or whatever causes that they're passionate in. But they want somebody who not only can interview well or that's good at public speaking, they want you to be poised. They want you to be able to walk elegantly. So just kind of they're looking for somebody who's well-rounded, that basically has it all.
So for speaking, I know you're in Toastmasters. That kind of helped you with your speech and your presentation, correct?
Correct.
Aren't you like the
Yes,
president?
I love Toastmasters. It is it's an international group. It is in, I believe, 140 different countries, and there's clubs everywhere. But the whole purpose of Toastmasters is public speaking and leadership. And then they elected me this year, and I am the club president. And I love it. Just being able to help other people have a voice, to speak with confidence. And then there's also speech competitions for those who want to enter in speech contests.
Again, when do you have the time? When do you sleep?
I only do things that I'm passionate about. And when I'm passionate about it, I like go all in. I give 100%. I love Toastmasters. Anytime I want to speak in any state, I just put a message out there, and all these clubs say, yeah, you can speak at our club. Toastmasters people are so welcoming, and they want to help you succeed in whatever speech, whatever competition you have. And they're just so willing to give you that good, constructive criticism. And I'm a firm believer in, you have to be teachable. If you're not teachable, you'll never grow. So at Toastmasters, they'll tell you what you're doing good, but they'll also tell you what you need work on. And you have to be open to that feedback. And that can only make you a better speaker if you're open to that feedback. I think even in life, like if there's people who are wiser than you, more experienced, is you need to take those pearls of wisdom and just really like take it in and just apply it to your life.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, what is the most difficult part about pageantry?
So for me, the most difficult part is, first of all, I can't dance, and I can't really walk and chew gum at the same time. We have to wear 6-inch heels, and our head has to be straight, and our shoulders have to be back, and our arms have to go a certain way, and our hips have to sway. So there's to me, I'm an overthinker, so I have to think of all these different things all at once. That is the hardest part for me. I love the interview part. I feel prepared. I feel like I know who I am, but I'm constantly growing and learning more ways of how I can be better through Toastmasters. But I think that it's just the walking part is harder for me. I mean, it's so much fun because there's photo shoots. Somebody does your hair and makeup, and you have to find a gown that it suits you, that's right for your body type. And you have to find an interview outfit that makes you look professional, yet makes you stand out. So there's a lot of fun things. And I like fashion, I like fun clothing. So when my assistant asked me, it was, why haven't I been doing this any sooner? It's just that it had never crossed my path to do pageantry until I was 42 years old.
Yeah, I would have never thought you could after, I think what you said, like 26 or
Yeah.
something like that, like after college age, undergrad
In the
age,
midst, correct.
right, I would think that, okay, then that's done. I would have never thought that,
Right.
they had a Mrs. anything. Because
Yeah,
it's not advertised
there's
as much.
it's not, but you know what? Now that I'm in pageantry on Facebook, I have so many pageant friends from different systems. There's so many different, there's an international system. I competed this summer in a national captivating. There's so many different pageant systems. And, you really do, when you do these pageants, you do meet a lot of friends because you're in it together. And for me, it's really weird because I have really good pageant friends. We are competing against each other, but we're friends and we're rooting for each other. Like I would be happy if they won. You just form that sisterhood and you root each other on, and you're basically really just competing against yourself.
Okay, so
You
it's
know,
not like Miss Congeniality where you're like, oh, I hope you win. I hope she trips and falls. Like,
you everybody goes into a pageant wanting to win, but there's only one winner.
exactly.
But when you don't win, I think that there's a lot of personal growth. So, for example, last year when I didn't win, my husband teared up and my kids were like crying. And I said, guys, what are you crying about? Like, what are we teaching our children? Like when they're in a soccer tournament and they don't win, it's like in life, you win and you lose. But you pick yourself up and you try again. And it's not like, so if you're in a soccer tournament, you go into another tournament and there's a possibility that you might win that whole tournament. So you just never know when God calls it to be your timing. And you also have different judges every year, and so their perspective on who they think changes from year to year depending on what the
Right.
judges think.
Mhm. And it is a good lesson to learn also, so whenever you do win, that win is so much sweeter because you know what it took to get to that level and to that
Yeah,
position.
yeah, most definitely.
So that's all I have for you right now. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me today. Do you want to give your social media handles?
Yeah, so you can find me, Bekah Pham Yoxthimer on Facebook, LinkedIn, and also Instagram. And then my volunteer group is called Strong Women Helping Others, and I have a Facebook group for that, and you can look that up too. And that is about it. But I also wanted to just share one more thing. This top that I have on is from the Dress for Success store. Dress for Success is an organization that I'm involved in. Cole, do you know anything about the organization?
No, no, not really.
Okay, so it's for women who are marginalized, who are unemployed. And what we do there is I teach a class called Hire Her, HIGHER, but it's to hire them. So what I do is I find their skill sets, I help them put together resumes, and then I do mock interviews for them to prepare them for a job. So my whole purpose is to get them an interview. Once they get an interview, we have a whole section of clothing where we style them so that they can have a pretty outfit for interview. And once they land the job, we provide them 7 more outfits to get them started on their job. We provide them with support as they're being employed to just help them along. And the whole purpose of Dress for Success is to help women to thrive in their workplace and also in life, because some of them are unemployed, and it gives them economic stability to be able to work and provide for their kids or their family. And I just think that that's true women empowerment, is just helping other women to succeed, and just being happy to see them succeed. And I just feel like for me, is if God's given me the gift of time and I have time, that I enjoy pouring into people and just helping them get to that next level in life.
And you definitely do that with all your organizations and your charitable work. It's again amazing, everything that you've accomplished, and to show that it doesn't matter where you are in life, you can still do something else. You can still elevate in some kind of way, and you've shown that with everything that you've done. The pageantry, the dentistry, the missionary work, and now with dress for hire, dress for
Dress
success.
for Success.
Dress for success. You
Yeah.
know, all absolutely wonderful things. Like, is there a website or something for that?
Yes, so Dress for Success is also in 150 different countries. It is in every major city. You can donate professional clothing. I've also sorted clothes for them. I'm also, in 2 weeks, I'm a personal stylist. I help put together outfits. I went through training to be able to teach classes. So there's so many avenues to where, you can help out with. And the cool thing was, last year, they had me MC their biggest fundraising event as Mrs. Cincinnati, which was really cool because the year before they had Miss USA, Chelsea
Oh,
Chris, like do the MCing. So it was an honor for me to be able to MC that event.
and maybe that's a precursor to the fact that you're going to win Mrs.
Thank you.
USA.
Thank you. And Cola, I just wanted to say that, it was so awesome to meet you 9 years ago. And it was hilarious that you and I both thought that we were in the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
And I picked that trip because it was splashless. Like, who goes on a whitewater rafting splashless trip? Because I didn't want to
Right.
get wet, but I wanted to see the Grand Canyon. And it was so neat because I think, was it a 4 or 6 hour drive to Horseshoe Canyon?
Um, from where?
Remember, it was like when we were in Glen
From
Canyon,
Glen
we had to
Canyon?
drive like
Well,
four to
no,
six hours to Horseshoe Bend, right?
no, it was really short. I think it was like
Oh,
30
was it an hour?
minutes. Yeah, it was like 30
Okay,
minutes to an hour. It wasn't that far at
okay.
all,
But
know.
yeah, it was neat how God, again, it was like, remember, there were like so many people. There were hundreds and hundreds of people there. And it was
Right.
like, we saw each other. And I have a love for photography. And so I had compassion on you. I'm like, she's by herself. We need to help her capture these moments. And so the coolest picture that of you was when you're like on this little ledge and you're like thinking about life. Like, I love that picture
Oh, I
of
love
you.
that too. And anytime I see it on my memories, I post it immediately. I'm like, my favorite picture.
Yes.
Shout out to the
You know,
photographer.
I'm going to tell you what I love about you is I love that you have this adventurous heart. You are always traveling, but what I love most about you is how much you value people, friends, family. You post about them, you talk about them. And I think that that's what life is about, is the adventure, and the friends and the people make it all worthwhile. And that's what I love about you, Cola.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love that about you too, because you did, like I said, you adopted me when I was wandering the deserts by myself.
We were on our like 11-year anniversary at the
Yes,
time.
yes, you were. So I appreciate that because most people on their anniversary trips or honeymoons or whatever, they don't want to be bothered with the third wheel, like, oh well, sorry for you. Yeah, I'll take one picture, bye.
Oh no,
But
it was
you
fun.
stuck with me the whole time, climbing
I was
rocks to get to the top of the
Yeah, like, okay, that was fun trying to figure out how to get all the way to the top, and we found it. We were like little mountain goats trying to get to the top.
basically. But your husband scaled it like it was nothing with equipment in
Yeah,
his hand. I'm like, wait a minute, I had to crawl on my belly to get up here. But
yeah. And you
that's
know what? It was
amazing.
really neat to also see you a couple of years ago in Florida. Was it 3 or 4? Time just kind of passes. 3 or 4 years ago in
Yes, I think
Florida.
about
That
three
was
years
that
ago.
was fun to hang out again too.
It was, and hopefully it won't be the last time.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I love your adventurous spirit too, because I see you going off and doing these 20-mile hikes and bike and bike trails. I don't know, again,
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Cola, you can totally go with me because we called it the unconventional Las Vegas girls trip, where I didn't drink at all. And all we did was we went to bed at 7 p.m. Who does that in Las Vegas? We woke up
Right.
at 3 a.m. We drove out to Death Valley, the hottest place on the earth, before sunset, so that we could hike this corkscrew peak. There was nobody around. It was just me and my best friend. And we're hiking, and I'm like, my feet are hurting. And we get to the top of the peak, and inside this military box is a log when you reach the peak. And the last person that had logged, it had been 14 days since anybody had logged in. I was like, we could die out here. Nobody would know where we were at, because these were unmarked. Like, we don't go on marked trails. These are unmarked, GPS only, where you try to find your way up the peak. So we call it extreme hiking.
Yes.
And we did that like every day. We did different hikes, and it's just so awesome to be able to explore. And same with you, Cola, is I know that you just like to explore. And I always think that, you know, we're not getting any younger. So if my body is able, then I'm going to hike and see what I can see.
Right. And I feel the same way. I mean, I don't know about 20 miles, but but I will you go on an adventure in a heartbeat. And I'm definitely happy to meet you on one of mine. I love seeing your posts and your Instagram, and you know, staying in contact with your family, and how everything is going on in your charities, and your, what is it, Studious Studs you had
Yes. Oh,
recently?
yeah. So I'm telling you, the best thing I've ever done in my life is the Studious Studs fashion show. And it is basically a reverse pageant. So we did our third annual one in January. There's 10 guys that go on stage and they compete in evening wear, sportswear, and they also have the dreaded on-stage interview where they just draw a random question that they've never seen before and they answer it. And we have like 5 female judges. Most of them are beauty queens. And at the end, we crown the Studious Stud. And my favorite part of it is that it goes to Hope House. We talked about Hope House Mission, which is a shelter for women and children, and that's where I volunteer at. And that all of the ticket sales, all of it, I don't make any money off of it. I don't need any of that money, but people that come know that they're contributing to this homeless shelter. And then it also gives them more information on, you can help by donating. You can also help this homeless shelter by making food. So I think it brings awareness to the community. So not only are we having this super fun, energized event, but we have people giving back. And Cola, I wish you could come to one, because these guys, they're allowed to bribe judges. They're allowed to give the judges money, roses, chocolates. They do all these stunts to get like more higher scores from the judges. And like I said, because it's for charity, I don't mind that they bribe judges. Any other pageant, that's a big no-no.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Well, call me when it's a bachelor auction, because I would probably definitely go for that.
Okay. We
But
did
that's
have two. We had 2 or 3 guys. No, we had 3 guys that were single this year. The other 7 were married, but there are guys that do it that are single. So come on up next year, January 9th, 2022. We already, the neatest thing is the venue is brand new. And the guy who owns it told me, you can have our venue every year. I mean, he charges a very minimal fee. He basically gives me the venue for free. And I think that there's so many generous people out in the community that help me make these events work, is by generosity of donating their venues for me to be able to do these events.
That's amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you talking to me. I could talk to you forever. You already know
I
that.
know. Thank you.
And hopefully I get to see you soon whenever
Yes.
either I come up there or you come down here. That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Yes. So again, thank you for tuning in to Life with Cola and my Mrs. USA. I'm claiming it. You're Mrs. USA.
Awesome.
Bekah Pham Yoxthimer. Oh my gosh. Yoxthimer. I'm not saying that right, am I?
Yeah, you're saying it right.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm so sorry. I just feel like I'm messing it up and I don't want to.
It's a hard last name, so.
It is. All right. Have a great one. Thank you.
You too. God bless you.
You too.
Bye.